Hello, good people. This is Sister Julia Walsh, and you're listening to Messy Jesus Business. Welcome to the Mess. I'm here with Sister Xiomara, an Adrian Dominican sister who is originally from the Dominican Republic. She is the Executive Director of Dominican Sisters Conference, DSC. Sister Xiomara holds a master's degree in pastoral studies from Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, a licentiate on industrial arts with a major on fashion design, and is a board-certified chaplain with the National Association of Catholic Chaplains. Before she became a religious sister, she was a fashion designer in her native country. She currently lives in Miami, Florida. And she's been my friend for as long as I have been a sister, it seemed. And it is so fun to know you all these years and to share the sisterhood with you. So, Sister Xiomara, welcome to Messy Jesus Business.
Thank you. It's such a great honor and a pleasure to have this conversation with you. I have been looking forward.
Oh my goodness. Let me just start off. I'd love to hear, because you know how it is. You know someone, but sometimes you forget to ask them the basics of their story, right? We talked about all these deep things under the sun, but never got into the depths of it. So, Sister Xiomara, tell me, how did you decide to leave your career in fashion design and become an Adrian Dominican sister?
Okay, I will try to give you the short version.
Yeah, we have an hour.
Okay, good. I never dreamed about becoming a sister. I didn't study in a Catholic school. My first years in the school, it was a private Catholic school, but not run by sisters, but run by a lay family. But then, once I started fifth grade, I went to a public school. And to be honest, I begged my parents never to put me in a Catholic school only because my friends who were in the Catholic school, they had to work so hard. They went to school all day. They didn't have like a childhood. I was afraid that if I would be in the school, it would be too hard for me or too strict,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, no, mommy, put me in a simple school. I am fine. And, we went to the closest public school in the country. So my only experience with sisters was a group of sisters who had a clinic very close in my neighborhood, which is very handy than to go all the way to the hospital. So the sisters, I never saw them smiling. And I never saw them being warmed. And their convent or their house, in that case, had a very high wall that says no trespass. I thought it was prohibited to talk to sisters. This was the way I grew up when I was a child. And then when they went to church, to my parish, I saw them like a one here and one there. And I didn't see the joy. I said, me, sister, not in my book. But this is funny, but I will say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
One day I was watching a Sister Act with my mom.
Oh, Sister Act.
Yes. And they say, Mommy, she was so joyful and so happy. And I saw the other nuns happy. Of course, it's a Hollywood, performance. And I said to my mom, Mommy, if I can be a joyful nun and I can be so happy like these sisters, one day I will become a sister. Of course, I was joking. I was just joking. And my mom said, you sister, But it seems like a God listened and took it seriously.
Of
But
course.
I forgot that until later in my life, I was in Las Vegas. And when I saw myself there in Las Vegas, I said, oh my gosh, I remember the story of telling my mom if I would be like Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, so I didn't realize you came to Las Vegas. You came to the States before you joined the sisters here.
No. Let me finish the story.
Oh, okay.
When I was between 11 years old and 17 years old, I started wondering. I left the Catholic Church only because I wanted to feel Jesus. And my sister left the Catholic Church to explore Jesus, because our friends in our neighborhood, there were a lot of missionaries coming to the country. And I'm from the capital. And we say in my country that in my neighborhood, we have a church in every corner. So we had the Mennonites, we had the Mormons, we had the Jehovah's Witnesses, we had the Pentecostal, we had the Christians, just name it. So we started exploring churches from 11 to 17. Because
Wow.
our friends who were in those churches, they said to us that they felt Jesus. We wanted to feel Jesus. We wanted to fit in, right?
Yeah.
We didn't want to be left behind. So when I was 17, one of my friends made the promise to go to Catholic church because she was Catholic, her family was Catholic,
Mm,
to fulfill a promise. And she needed to go to the first mass, 7:30 in the morning.
mm,
She didn't have no one to go, and she was my friend. She said, Xiomara, I know you are very Christian, you are very faithful, and you are looking for God, but I want you to come with me to Mass because I don't want to be alone. And she was one of
mm.
my best friends. I said, yes, I want to go. And when I went to that church, which was my parish when I was baptized, I felt something special.
Mm,
People said about listening a voice that
mhm.
says something. If I will put a name to my experience, the voice of that moment, of that experience said to me, home, mi
Wow.
casa.
Jeez.
I was 17, just graduated from high school, just first semester in the university. And since that day, I never left the Catholic Church.
Oh my.
I felt Jesus that day. The Jesus I
That's
have been looking for the last 6 years.
yeah, what was that like? Like how did you feel him?
When I sat down in the pew, I remember when I was a child going to church, my parents were very free about us going to any church as
Mm,
long as we were looking for Jesus or for God or for whatever. So for me coming back and sitting in the pew, when I was little, I couldn't see on the front of the church,
mm.
because I was too little. This time I was sitting so straight, I could see everybody and the welcoming of my neighbors. Xiomara, you are here. And they gave me such
Oh.
a great welcoming because they knew I was like a good girl. I
Mm.
felt home. And again, when I sat down in that pew and I heard the songs and the liturgy and the Eucharist, there was something that ran truth in my heart. And there was like a ray of light that said, this is it. I stopped going to any church but the Catholic Church.
Wow.
So I resumed my sacraments. I did my confirmation. I did everything. And I became more Catholic than any Catholic in the Catholic
Yeah.
Church. And this is where I met the Adrian Dominican sister for the first time. It
Ah.
was in a parish mission. At that time, it was the year after I became 18. And it's a woman was preaching, a woman preaching.
Okay.
And then another woman, she was doing a liturgical dance. And I said, these women in the Catholic Church, one preaching and the other so joyful and dancing. It was very powerful, kind of Lenten kind of dance. And then I asked, who are they? And they said, they were sisters. I said, how come they can be sisters if they don't have habit? They don't have a habit. And
Mm.
they say, yes, they are Dominican sisters. Wow. It blew my mind seeing
Wow.
women doing such beautiful work and being so joyful and talking about a personal relationship with God, with Jesus.
Yeah.
And this is how I met the sisters. They were the first North American congregation of religious women in the country since 1945.
Oh, uh-huh.
See, and I can tell you more, but that is what my snapshot how I came. That was 19. I waited 11 years to enter.
You graduated high school, you went to college, and then you worked in high fashion.
Yes. Mhm.
Tell me about your career in fashion.
I come from a family of women that know how to sew. My great
Uh-huh.
grandmother was a tailor, not a seamstress. She was a tailor. She didn't have the patience to work with women. So she was very good. And my aunt, who was her granddaughter, became a very fine seamstress.
Mm.
My cousin, who was my aunt's daughter, became a fashion designer, not a seamstress. She wanted to do something bigger. Because they were in the countryside, my cousin, who was my aunt's daughter, came to the capital to study at the university to be a
Mm.
fashion designer, and she stayed in my house. So I
Oh.
was so fascinated when she came with all this beautiful dress. She was at that time working a little part-time job with a famous fashion designer in the country. That woman just died yesterday, by the way. And
Mm.
when they had to do fashion shows, and my cousin took the dresses in the house to do some finishing, and I was so fascinated by the runways and the glamour and all. I grew up with that with my cousin.
Wow.
I didn't know how to sew. I didn't know how to iron one piece of clothes. I was somehow a little privileged in some way because we have people who do things for us. But I had something within me that believed that I could be a fashion designer. So when it was time for me to choose a career after a year in college, I transferred to become a fashion designer. And I was for the first group of fashion designers as a licentiate, which is bigger than a bachelor. I was the first class of fashion designers, professional fashion designers in the country.
Amazing.
So, yes. And it was hard,
Sure.
but I love it. I love it. It was fascinating. I had the opportunity to work with a fashion designer from the Spain. I worked with him for 2 years, 1 month, and 11 days because I promised myself I will never work for anyone because I wanted to have my own business. But I also understood while I was studying that I needed experience. At that time was when I decided to stop working for them and open my own business. And this is what I did. I have
Yeah.
another friend who had also the same desire to open the business, and we partnered together, and she and I opened our shop.
So what, like, who did you dress and like what type of clothes did you make? And
Oh,
I mean, really, it's just a world I don't even know anything about. And I think it's such a fun part of your story.
when I was with the fashion designer from Spain, that was one of my last work.
Yeah.
The king of Spain came to the country.
The King of Spain. Okay.
So because he was the only fashion designer from Spain, everybody who was going to the galas came to us. I was able to make some of the dress for the women who went to the gala with the King of Spain. When I went home, I was with my mom watching the TV. I said, Mommy, this dress I made because it was televised. It's like the red carpet before going to the gala. And then when the president became president, we made most of the clothes for the gala also, or the president at that time. But I did regular clothes for wedding, for quinceañera, which is 15
Yeah.
years old, no Latina party. We did production, a lot of production, like for companies who wanted to change their image. So like a bank. In Latin America, people dress up, let us say, for working.
Yeah. You're not as
So,
casual as us,
oh,
right?
no, never, 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 never. I also noticed I was very curious and I was so perfectionist. After I finished my career, I went to a school, back to school, and I did a master's degree in mass production. I know how to make from an underwear to a wedding dress. I
Amazing.
can do everything from fabric, from scratch, from pattern. I can do everything.
Amazing. Amazing. So,
Mhm,
okay. I don't want these to be zinger questions,
mhm.
right? But they might come off as zinger questions. But I'm saying that as my little warning, okay?
Okay.
I understand that the textile industry and the fashion industry, those industries contribute so much to climate change, that they are oppressing the poor. There's major systemic problems, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And I don't want to just like dress as a frumpy frumpy casual American everywhere I go. I want to look good too, right? I want to honor
Mm.
the dignity of who I am by reflecting the beauty of God. So I know you can't come and help me get dressed every day, which would be ideal.
Mhm.
So what's your advice for me? Like, how can I dress better and not oppress the poor and the planet?
First, you know the colors that people say to you, you look so beautiful today, Julia.
Oh yeah.
That is one thing. Another thing is that I do a lot of new to me work, which
Mm,
means I go to secondhand stores.
yeah.
So I buy my things from there with the background on knowing which one make me feel comfortable. Many
Mm,
of them have new tags
mm-hmm.
because I had to say to you, Julia, it doesn't matter how you dress. The clothes doesn't make you. You make the clothes.
Ah, thank you, sister.
Yes, and to me, I had never seen you dressing less than beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. I think we talked about this before, and you told me that bright colors and blues and things like this
Yes,
are good
because
for
of your
me. So,
eyes and because you're light skin.
yeah,
So
yeah.
even yellow depends on the yellow that you wear because I know white, European descent, Arafro yellow depends on the tone of the yellow.
Ah, see? Yeah. So
Hmm.
that was all part of your training?
Oh, yes, it was
Oh,
part of
yeah.
my training, of
Uh
course.
huh.
Hmm.
Yeah. And on top of this, you know theology and you know how to care for the sick, and now you know how to run phenomenal organization of Dominican sisters. So you're such a woman of so many talents.
Oh,
So you left your career in fashion design and you became a sister. What was that transition like?
Uh, I say to you, when I met the sisters, there was something within me that touched me deeply.
Mm.
But I didn't know, and I didn't have much time to explore it. And because I wanted to become famous. I got to be honest with you. I wanted to become very famous and very rich, but not because of fashion, but because I wanted to help others.
Your motives were pure. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I noticed that the way you are dressed, the way people treat you,
Mm.
especially if you come from a place where classicism is kind of the norm,
Yeah.
besides racism and all of that. So my dream was to help so many people to live their potential in the way they dressed.
Uh-huh.
Again, they have better opportunity for jobs. They are okay. Image is important in the world, even among sisters. Image is important. And I knew that I have some gifts, but then at the same time, I had this call that was within me. I didn't know what to do. So I made a business with God. Jesus' messy business was, my Jesus was, okay, allow me to be professional.
Yes.
Allow me to fulfill my dreams of being a fashion designer. And if you are still calling me at some point, I will say yes.
Oh. Uh-huh.
It took me almost 11 years to say yes, full yes, to come and to join the religious life because I tasted fame and I didn't want to pay the price of fame.
Mm.
I didn't want my gifts focusing me, myself, and I. I wanted to do something with my gifts.
Mm.
So when I met the Adrian Dominican sisters, when I met my sisters who came to this country, and I thought I was poor because I couldn't travel around the world. My parents didn't have the money to send me around the world to travel. And this is why I thought I was poor.
Oh.
Until I met the sisters and they showed me poverty in my own country.
Mm.
They showed me the poverty in the sugarcane fields.
Mm.
They showed me poverty in the poor neighborhoods, poorer than my own.
Yeah.
So because I live in very social mixed neighborhood.
Yeah.
So when I saw these intelligent, beautiful, well-educated women giving their life for people they didn't know, it blew my mind. It was overwhelming for me holding things my gift for myself and not giving myself to others.
It's like you knew your potential, right? You
Yes.
knew your power. You never
Yes.
doubted that you
No.
you could really have a great impact by just offering who you were,
Yes.
but you didn't
Yes.
yet know which way to do it. Uh-huh.
Exactly. It was an aha moment. I remember I was on my table. I was having a big production from a big company, and I was cutting fabric. I was leading the production, and I was feeling so empty.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "I'm making money for what?
Mm.
It's not only about me, it's about others." I started teaching in an institution that has students, poor student and rich student with chauffeur. And I saw all that we can do together. And I built a community with the rich and the poor. They were eating together, which they were
Mm.
kind of, again, a lot of classism at the beginning. And when I saw what I could do with my group of students, high fashion students, I said, I can do more. I can do more. I always go for more because I believe all the gifts that God give us, we can use it for others. And not my gift is united with others for the better of the world.
Mm. That's right. That's right. I mean, you could have been a Franciscan. Obviously, you had a relationship with the Dominicans. So maybe that was the natural way for you to go. But you must have, along the way, in your discernment, looked for clues that you belonged with the Adrian Dominicans, that this was the community that where you were meant to commit your life. How did you
Yes.
come to clarity about that? And what is it about the Dominican charism in particular that helps you to know belonging?
The Dominicans are real. We love truth. We
Uh-huh.
love passion, compassion. I was just looking at the sisters. They
Yeah.
were joyful.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need to wear a habit to show that they were committed to God and to the work of God. They were so invested in the kingdom, in the world, in the reign of God. I think it was overwhelming for me to see such a group of talented women consecrated themselves to better the life of others. It blew my mind. And remember, I didn't have in my mind ever become a sister. These were the first women I talked to. They invited me to their houses, and I thought, can I come to a religious house? And they were so open. And again, it wasn't my experience because, again, the sisters back in where I grew up, they were very conservative, very close, very private. So these women, they didn't have difference. And that was the one that attracted me to see real people.
And the Dominican charism is about truth.
Preaching the truth.
Preaching the truth.
With your life. With your life.
What does it mean to really be a preacher for you?
It's a huge commitment because your life and what you do and what you say has to match, let us say. It's like a mirror one another. You have to be authentic. You have to have this passion and fire and love for justice, for peace, for truth, to set people free. And we have the 4 pillars, praying, living in community, study, and preaching. So it has to be all combined to make us a more authentic Dominicans, authentic daughters and sons of God. And also being with the people, walking in the field with the people, not separate the people, but with the people. One people said that the Dominicans have a newspaper in one arm and the Bible in the other arm.
Oh, that's a Dominican thing.
It's very Dominican.
I thought it was just a Christian thing.
No. No, the Dominicans. And we were, in my particular experience, the first human rights were proclaimed in my country when the Dominicans started preaching about the injustice that was done against the indigenous people and how people were being exterminated. And there was a famous sermon Montesino from Advent, where he said, by what right you treat these people less than human? That legacy of people preaching what is not right.
Yeah.
I think that was so inspiring. I have a lot of passion for that.
Yeah. There's obviously good preaching and bad preaching in our church. And maybe in society in general. I mean, everyone's got something to say, right? I mean, and everyone has a voice, and we all need to be using our voice. How do you distinguish in the Dominican tradition when preaching is holy?
Because even with your presence, you preach. Our motto is to contemplate and to give to others the fruits of our contemplation. When you are a genuine preacher, your presence preach. You touch people even the way you look at the person. When you see in the eye of others that you belong to one another, the other person is God's creation, even the person you cannot stand. But when you can see beyond that, that is a preaching. Okay, like Francis, one of the phrases is that we Dominicans use all the time about Franciscan is that Francis said, preach, 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 and it is necessary, use words. Yeah. So a genuine preaching, you have to do with your whole being. And you have to have fire and love and passion.
I might be Dominican too, is what you're saying.
Of course, yes. Francis and Dominicans were best friends, and they met each other in Rome, and they loved forever and ever. They would come brothers
they were
and
buddies.
sisters, yes.
Both charisms, Franciscans and Dominicans, were both itinerant preachers. We are on the go. We go where God leads us to to share the good news, to share the gospel.
Since the beginning.
To live the gospel.
And also to preach, you need to study.
Yeah.
If you don't have a foundation, your word will be empty. And a study can be having the experience of the people. That is another way of studying. Not only in books, you can study the place where you live, the people you live, the engagement. That is also part of the study.
That makes sense to me. So it's about being open experientially to the encounters, the encuentros, the ways that Christ is communicating with us and teaching and forming us in our ordinary life, but being with those on the margins and learning from their lives and their experience and perspective.
Jesus was the best preacher.
Yeah.
He knew the scripture, but he also knew the people or learned about the people. And he allowed himself to be taught. Look at the Syrophoenician women. he allowed himself to be transformed by the encounters and made him a better preacher.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
So how does that work for you?
In what sense? Tell me a little more. Tell me a little more.
Well, in the role that you're in now. Or maybe we could talk about when you served as a chaplain or a medical interpreter, right? How did the experiences that you had inform the messages that you preached?
Remember when I said to you that you can preach with your presence?
Mm,
That is exactly what chaplains do.
yeah.
A chaplain is a call to be a compassionate and sacred and loving presence of God.
Mm,
So when we are visiting a person who is suffering, we are meeting the person when the person is the most vulnerable.
yeah.
So how can we go and preach to them without words? By listening. The most powerful thing you can do to a person that is suffering, don't give advice.
Mm,
They don't need it. They need to be listened to. And it's sometimes not listened to, just to be with them and accompany them in their worst moment of their lives, when they are at the lowest point. In anything we do, we can apply the same with chaplaincy in life. Being a loving and compassionate present and kind present, which is so much needed today in our world.
You're talking my language right there. I mean, just the other day, I was in a conversation and someone said, "So, what is the charism of your community, of the, of the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration?" Like, that's a lot of words, but what does it mean? And I said, "Well, because we adore Christ in the chapel and we encounter the presence of Christ in the chapel when we're in adoration. Our ministry, our whole mission as a congregation is to offer loving presence to others. And we do that through service, but sometimes it's as simple as simply being with, right? It's yes, it's an acts of witness and community, but it is ultimately about offering that same presence that we experience in God, that love, by being with people in the hard and difficult things and the great things. We got to show up for the celebrations too.
Of course, of
The ups
course.
and downs and the mundane
Yes.
in the middle, all of it.
Mhm,
And we
mhm.
are present. That's the point. Yeah.
And I can identify with you what you said because, for example,
Mm.
my own congregation, the Adrian Dominican sister, we have these different statements. But right now, one of the things that we have been deepening since 2010 is about our intention, our enactments about, but the particular one about seeking truth, making peace, and reverence life.
Ah,
And each 6 year, we deepen and deepen and deepen into that. How are we seeking truth? How we're making peace? How we're being at peace with others? How are we preaching peace? And how are we reverencing life? How are we being welcoming? How are we being inclusive? Who doesn't have a voice that we can meet with women? So we have different enactments right now going around: the voice of earth, the voice of diversity, the voice of creation, the voice of women. So many voices right now. The voice of God, the theology that is being lost many times. So that is also another thing that passions me, that we can together discern what are the signs of the times.
mm. What would you say the signs of the times are saying to you?
I love Pope Francis, and
Yeah,
he
me
used a
too.
lot the word radical.
Mm.
And if I have to use a second word with radical, would be we have a big longing for radical option for relationships.
Yes. What does that mean?
If we have a radical option for relationship, if we made that radical option for relationship, we won't have wars around the world.
No more
We will
war.
respect one another. We will honor one another. We will be able to talk our differences.
Mm.
Right now, sometimes our society, not only here in the United States, but around the world, it seems like we are making a radical option for division, for
Mm.
competition, for who has the latest car or the latest clothes, or who has the latest TikTok conversation, who has more followers. We have becoming so addicted to different things without judging, because this is what is happening, that we have been losing touch for our humanity. So by making a radical option for relationship, it's like the African people said, the Ubuntu. I am because you are because I am.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the conflicts we have around the world locally, we will stop killing people with weapons. We will stop feeling lonely, depression, anxiety. We will feel that we belong.
Ultimately, building community and helping people to see others as sisters and brothers instead of
Yes.
enemies.
You name it.
Right. Yeah.
Building a beloved community. That is
Ah,
the thing.
yeah.
Even people don't know they are hungry for a beloved community.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think what you're talking about there is absolutely right, sister, because one of the signs of the times is this epidemic of loneliness, right?
Mhm,
More and
mhm.
more people are struggling with isolation and separation and division, and there's more challenges that people are having with mental health and knowing their
Mhm,
own dignity and worth because
mhm.
they are not feeling like they belong to a community, right? And they don't have that sense of like I am needed and people love and care for me, which is a very basic human need where instead of feeling sad and sorry about it, we can actually very simply solve that problem by being friendly neighbors and following Jesus's teaching of loving our neighbors, right? So if we just simply love our neighbors and help them to know that we love them and we care for them and show up for them and build those bridges of belonging, that's going to
Yes,
transform society little by little. That's what Christians are called to do,
yes.
aren't they? No matter their charism or their vocation, if they're Franciscan or Dominican or Jesuit or
Mhm.
a non-consecrated religious, whoever they are, we all can be friendly neighbors.
Yes.
Yes.
And more than we doing for others, it's about how can we be ourselves? How can
Mm,
we feel ourselves beloved so that our presence will inspire others to feel beloved as well?
right. Right.
Because sometimes we work so much to make others to do things, but how can we the most authentic self, how can we feel ourselves belonging, beloved, you
Mm,
know, wanted, so that we can radiate that and others can also feel that they are loved, that they are worthy, that they are daughters and sons of something bigger than themselves.
yeah. So how do you do that? Is that where the contemplation comes in for you?
Yes, indeed. Reading in the morning prayer, how can I feel the love that Jesus felt, that
Mm,
relationship with the Trinity, where God said, "This is my beloved, in whom I am pleased." Do I believe that? That Xiomara, that Julia, that you can say, Julia, you can say to yourself, I am the beloved daughter of God.
mm,
And it's not about bragging, it's about naming the truth within yourself.
right.
And
Yeah.
that fountain of love that is within yourself, it will spring water forth, even by you looking at a person,
Hmm.
even by you touching a person, even just by somebody's doing a service. Good morning.
Yeah.
May you, the words you will say, you will preach that
Hmm.
you are beloved.
Ah, amen. Let's try. Let's try. What would you like to share about the Dominican Sisters Conference?
We strive to stand as a clear voice for truth, for justice, for peace,
Mm,
and right now for diversity. I am the first women non-European descent directly, a Latina, let us say, in 90 years in this organization.
wow.
So we are opening little and little and little more to be inclusive, to people to feel belonging, because it is so hard to see the things that divide us.
Mm.
So how can we be more authentic preachers of the holy preaching?
Ah,
How
yes.
can we preach the love of God, the love of the neighbor, the love for creation more with a clear voice and authentic voice?
Uh-huh.
And we Dominicans, we try to unite voices, the sister, the associates, the partners in mission. So everyone has a voice at the table and bring their gifts to, again, be co-creator with God.
So, my dear friend, what else would you like to say about the messiness of living the gospel and being a disciple of Jesus Christ?
To be Christian today, to love God, is radical. To be a healthy Christian is radical.
And what do you mean by radical? Some people might be turned off by that word, so we might need to break that open a bit.
It's countercultural.
Ah, okay.
It's daring.
Uh-huh.
It's
bold. Yeah.
It's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to be an authentic Christian today. And yet we say yes and yes and yes every day. It's not one time when I made my first vow or my final vows or my, it's a saying yes every single day. In spite of the bad news we have there, how can we be good news?
Yeah.
The challenge is to being good news. That is radical. Not bringing good news, being the good news with your life.
And it's messy when the world is sometimes noisier than us.
Yes.
They're negative somehow. The world seems to have a noisy negative message, and we got to show up and proclaim some good news. So there's these conflicts that we walk into. There's opposition. There's people that are like ready to roll their eyes at us or oppose us or put us down because they're like, would you stop being so happy over there when all the suffering's happening, right? So
how can we unite instead of divide?
Yeah.
There is so much division. We need radical people who believe in belonging, who believe in building beloved circles of love, disciples of Jesus.
That's true. And I don't know about you, sister, but for me, one of the challenges I experience in that is a fear that like in my own hometown, my own family, in a lot of different circles that I run, I know there's people that think differently than me, that believe differently, that vote differently, that pray differently, right? I believe, though, also that diversity is a good and beautiful thing. So how do I engage in those relationships and enter into conversation with those folks, even though I'm afraid that they're dismissing me? But I want to like offer them the generosity of trust that they have good intentions. And I don't want to show up in a cynical way or a guarded sort of way, but in an open and trusting and loving way that assumes the best about everybody. Folks aren't always ready to receive me that way. So so that's part of the messiness, isn't it? Is like they've been receiving some information, some misinformation, and I have too. And so we're being taught to judge or to dismiss some people and to just make assumptions. Maybe we circle back to the beginning of the conversation. It could be as simple as the way people are dressed. We make some judgments about where they stand politically, what they believe, who they are as a person, and that impacts how we relate to them.
Be curious.
Yeah.
Engage in conversations and don't give up. Because many times our fears are defensiveness. So how can we take the noise of the criticism, the negativity that divides us? But I think what helped me, especially when I'm confronted with racism because of my accent, because of name it, because I'm Latina, because people make assumptions of me, I try not to allow the encounter to hurt me, but to be curious. So how can I go beyond of the words that are said? How can I respond instead of reacting? But it takes a lot of energy and a lot of intention to listen deeply and to be engaged, even in the messy conversations.
Amen.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up. Stay faithful. Remain faithful to the gospel and to Jesus Christ, the most radical preacher, lover of them all, who showed us how to relate to everyone with great joy and compassion.
And remember, if you know the truth will set you free.
Amen. Oh, thank you so much, Sister Xiomara, for coming on Messy Jesus Business and sharing all your wisdom and your story. This has been fun.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I love you.
I love you too, sister. Messy Jesus Business is produced and edited by Colin Wamskans. You can find us online at messyjesusbusiness.com and on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon. If you like what you heard, please be sure to mention our podcast to your friends and followers. And we'd love to have your support via Patreon. From the bottom of our hearts and the middle of the mess, thank you. Messy Jesus Business is produced in partnership with the Franciscan Sisters of Perpetual Adoration. You can learn more about our religious community and donate to our mission at www.fspa.org. I'm Sister Julia Walsh, and I'll catch up with you next time. Until then, peace and all good.